Alright everybody, welcome to another Kings of War battle report. My name is Paige and this is my channel Newbie Dice, and this is actually the first round of Call to Arms Season 4.
Hello there! I like to watch battle reports to get better at games. So I started making short, summarized battle reports that focus on learning points. So welcome to my channel Newbie Dice. Do like, subscribe and hit the bell icon if you enjoy my videos.
Alright guys, welcome back. So firstly, this is the first game of our Call to Arms Season 4, and you can see from this screenshot of the tournament over here, tracked on the tabletop.to. It started in the end of March for 2020, and this is in the COVID-19 season, and a lot of people are staying home, and that's why there's an explosive growth of signups. This is 146 players all around the world playing in this tournament, and of course the tournament organizer is Adam Padley himself, and Dan Miner is helping out, and I think there are a few others helping out to run this tournament as well because it's so massive, right? Basic idea is to clock one game every 2 weeks. Once you get your pairings, you kind of PM them on Facebook to arrange a time to play. So there's like 3 broad time zones, right? US, Europe and Asia Pacific. That includes Asia and Australia. So this is my first round list, and my opponent's list as well is Order of the Green Lady versus Orcs. I do have 25 unit strength, pretty respectable with 13 drops. My opponent's list, so I do have a next screenshot that shows his list a little bit bigger. So in 2300 I do have two hordes of elementals, that is, one horde of men at arms, one order of the Brotherhood and one order of the Redemption. So I find that two cavalry is just about right, because if you have too many, you have too much reliance of that crushing thunderous charge. Rather, Order of the Forsaken does have thunderous charge, unfortunately, instead of any crushing. So they are like a one-hit wonder. They're like a glass cannon, and one hit goes in, hopefully takes the opponent out with some support, and then after that it's down to the grind. It probably gets hurt, do some reprisal damage, and then goes down the round after that. So I do have 2 Pegasus, and I do have the Unicorn. I like the Unicorn quite a lot. This is the opponent's list in detail. So it's he has a lot of Morax regiment, a lot of X troops, 1 X horde, 1 chariot, 2 war drums, 2 Krudger. So one has the wild charge aura, one has flying, Krudger on wing slasher, and a flagger with loot of insatiable darkness. So I'll talk more about the flagger in a bit. So this is the deployment. So the numbers indicate the order in which we deploy. So the scenario is Dominic. So with that scenario in mind, it's pretty obvious that people will be dropping heavily towards the center. So you drop the obvious ones first. So the man at arms goes in the center, my inspiring support goes next, and then 1 chaff piece, because you can see over the hill. And then what happens? Well, another chaff piece on the other side, and then I start to deploy a little bit on the sides and the middle. So it's kind of rotating back and forth between it. Okay, so my opponent deploy all the troops in front, so on and so forth. This Krudger on the right side. So let's see what happens. I move first. Most of the time, if I win the roll, I probably like to go first, because I like to start to threaten things, and so threaten the opponent, so it kind of restricts the way he can move about because of the way I already shifted my army. So let's see what my opponent did. So he moved up, but he moved up very tightly. So this, you can see that the more X regiments are base to base with his X troops over here. Not much spacing. There's a little bit of this checkerboard going on, but because it's so tightly spaced, even if I killed this troop over here, so let's say I killed this troop, let me draw it. So I killed this troop, and then even so he might have difficulty maneuvering his units to charge in, his more X to charge in. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. So let's see what else. This Krudger on slasher on the right side, let me change back to the pointer. He positioned himself behind the forest, so that I'm not able to charge him, right? I can't see him, right? But at the same time, he chooses to face the center of the battlefield, which means, right, all I have to do is I can position my Beast of Nature to fly in, and then I could see his flank already, and then he has to do something about it. So one other thing that I didn't foresee is this charge over on the left side, his Crudger with wings. It has wings, but it also benefit from the aura of wild charge from this guy over here, because it affects heavy infantry. Although he's flying, he's still a heavy infantry. And I position my this Beast of Nature within less than 21 inches from him, so he charged at me. So it dealt a whopping 5 damage, so that is pretty painful. So let's see what I did in response. My Pegasus charged this unit over here, because this unit is straddling between the two regiments. So I thought, oh, if I charge this, I kind of block both regiments from moving, because infantry and heavy infantry regiments being rectangular, it couldn't pivot if it's blocked somewhere in the front. And so that's what I did. So with my mobile forces on the side, I charged the furthermost troop, so that will block him somewhat, and keep these two units pretty much safe from any flanks from the opponents, right? Whereas if you charge the opponent in the front, in the middle of his forces, he'll flank you from both sides. So what I did with this Water Elemental Regiment, it has to move this way, because there was a Crudger over here, right? The Crudger with wings. Let me draw it. It was somewhere here. So I have to move my Water Elementals. It could only move 7 inch, so I had to move and angle it this way so that I pop into the forest, so that I can see through it, so that I'm ready to support that combat over there next round, should the Beast of Nature get killed or wavered by that Crudger. But thankfully, with the Unicorn assisting and the Beast of Nature itself, it managed to take out the Crudger. And if I'm not wrong, the Crudger's nerf isn't as high as expected, although it's a lot like character. It is pretty cheap. It's just a 12-14 nerf, right? And -1 defense from that wings. So I managed to take it out. So what else? All over here on the right side, I shifted 2 of my flyers to threaten the what's this called, the dragon, or rather the Crudger of Wing Slasher in the flank. So it's not gonna be going anywhere pretty much. Okay, so let's see what he did. So now he pulled his Wing Slasher back out of the front arc of this Beast of Nature, right? And I think the Pegasus can only charge it in the front, which is not gonna do that much to him. Okay, so what happened on the left? So basically, there's 3 units of 3 troops involved in this maneuver. Let me switch to the pen. So there's 1 unit here, 1 unit here, and 1 unit there. Okay, so what happened is one of the units slid sideways. So I had a Pegasus here. This unit slides sideways. The other unit charged in the flank of the Pegasus, and then the unit in front here charged at the flank of this Water Elementals. So freeing up this Morax regiment to charge these knights over here. And then what else to take note of is that because that unit that the Pegasus block has to slide sideways, so which means this unit, because it's so close, is still trapped. It couldn't reform to face the trap on the left side. All it could do is back up, which is not going to make a difference. It will still expose its flank to this Pegasus Knights over here, the Order of the Forsaken. Okay, and then when he charged this Morax in, and then he moved this Crusher behind it, I was wondering, oh, how come he did not cast Bane Chan? Because I knew he had a loot on one of his individuals. And that's when we realized that he forgot to deploy his Flagger with the loot. And then I was like, okay, why not you drop it down now? So he dropped the Flagger in the middle of his forces. So yeah, so do remember to drop all your units. I have a little tip for that at the end of the video. So with this out of the way, let's see what I do next. So the Order of the Forsaken expectedly charge in, right? And killed the flank of that Morax. Okay, so the troop just got finished off by the knights. Let's rewind and see. Probably the Beast of Nature charged as well. Yep, the Beast of Nature did. And the Water Elementals killed the troop all on its own. That was pretty pretty unexpected. More troops got killed. Yeah, this guy killed this troop over here. This unit of foot soldiers went in. I think the Bane-chan went here because there's a star over here, but failed to kill the Orc troop, right? I think it dealt average damage. Yep, but didn't rock that nerf. I think 11-13 with the war drums. Okay, so this time the Morax, this previous unit, the last unit of Morax is already facing the side, so now it charges the Forsaken Knight. The interesting thing was I backed up after I killed, and it needed a wild charge of 2. It's a D3. It needed a wild charge of 2 to get in, if I'm not wrong. So if I managed to roll that, yeah, if I managed to back up more, I think there was a good chance. There is a better chance that he might not be able to charge in. But anyway, he did. So let's see what else happened. So this unit charged in. Oh yes, I forgot to say this earlier. My Pegasus charged in. The Pegasus that was previously dancing with Dragon charged in because I charged my Order of Redemption in, right? So I need to stop this horde from coming in. So that's why I did. I charged the Pegasus in. Hopefully with the Earth Elementals to follow up right after. And the Water Elementals is still back here because my Beast of Nature, once again, shuffled Dancing with the Dragon, went out of the front arm of the Dragon again, but the Chariot was in range, so this Water Elementals was there to charge after that. I think the Earth Elementals was in range also, so the Water Elemental is there to charge in case the Dragon comes in. Right, so the Dragon continued to shuffle while the Chariot stopped my Beast of Nature, right? So that's what happened. So finally, with the Beast of Nature stopped, the Dragon could, the Crudger on Wing Slasher rather, could position itself to charge next round. So the Water Elementals can't see him because of the forest, and the Earth Elementals are too far away. So let's see some of the rolls here. Unfortunately, the Morax dealt quite a bit of damage, but failed to route this unit. I think it should have dealt. Yeah, I think this is about there. Failed to route it. This Crudger over here, the individual, charged the already wounded Beast of Nature and wavered it. The unlucky thing for my opponent is it failed to kill the Pegasus, so it stopped the horde for one more turn. That was very painful. So basically finishing up more of the opponent's unit. The Morax went down. There's another troop here that went down. Let me just, oh, he charged the War Drum in to block my knights, right? So I killed it. And actually I'm not sure if I could have bounced off and charged this horde over here. I think I remembered considering it before. Not sure why I didn't do it back then. Oh well, killed the horde. Turn to face. Oh yes, now I remember, because of the dragon. So if I charge in, probably not gonna kill it. The dragon's gonna finish me off. I pull the Piece of Nature back. Right, Unicorn charge this unit in the side. And so this is how things are looking. This unit of infantry, I think, took out that Orc troop finally, and I turned to face. So I turned as much as possible to face this. Let me get this unit in the front, and I faced the side as much as possible. What I did not see was that the dragon was still in its flank. So guess what the dragon did? The dragon, or rather the Crudger on Wing Slasher, charged in. Probably, I'm not sure if the Orc troop here, yeah, the Orc troop assisted, so it took out that horde over there. Okay, so while this Orc horde killed the Pegasus finally, but all my things are in position to charge already. Oh yeah, the previous turn, since his chariot came into my Piece of Nature, I set up my Water Elemental to flank, and that took it out already. The Wing Slasher was facing the bulk of my troops over here. So what he could not stop is the Surge. So what I like about this Alpha Striking list is that it does have a Surge element as well from the Druid. So this Water Elementals charge the dragon in the front just to pin it in place in case I don't kill it, while the Earth Elementals surge into the rear. I think everything else went into that horde over there. Okay, so let's see what happened over here. Another unlucky roll. His Crudger dealt more damage to the Beast of Nature, but failed to even waver it. Let me rewind. Yep, 3 damage, but he rolled low on the nerf. Do take note, he is hindered through the forest. So let's see what happens. Very strong turn over here. So 3 charges from the onto the horde, right? 1 here, the Winged Pegasus Knights, the Order Redemption, and the Water Elementals. The Beast of Nature charged the War Drum, right? The Earth Elementals flanked or rear charged with a surge into the Dragon, with a front charge from the Water Elementals, taking it out. 36 hits from the rear, 36 attacks from the rear, 18 hits with Crush 1, so that will be 9 wounds with Brutal 10, and then Water Elementals in front. So I dealt 6 damage to this Crudger here. The Green Knight turn around to support to kill this Crudger, to get ready to kill this Crudger, or rather this is Dominate, so we're trying to hold the center anyway, right? So I missed 2 pictures, but basically this happened at the end. So I think I wavered his Crudger the previous turn, 6 damage, just needing a 6 to waver, and then I finished off with the assistance of the Unicorn. Right, the opponent had the flagger left, but this tournament is based on kill points, not by difference of army points remaining. That's attrition. So he charged his flagger to attempt to deal 1 damage to kill the Order Forsaken, but failed to do damage. So learning points from this game. Yeah, sometimes it does happen that you sometimes forgot some of your units, especially when you have been tweaking your list back and forth. So sometimes you forgot that you have this, you have that. So one of the best things to help me remember is that I always remember how many drops I have in my list, because as I'm building my list, this is part of the consideration. Oh, I have 13 drops, I have 12 drops, I have 14 drops, I have 17 drops. So when I take my army out onto the board for deployment, whether it's universal battle or in an actual game, physical game, I always count how many units I have. So I know I have 13 units, I make sure I have 13 units on the board. So look out for that 21-inch charge with that wild charge aura, right? And yeah, you check about your units, but allow space between the first wave and second wave as well. You can see when they're base to base and the front unit can't move, the unit behind doesn't even have space to reform to face threats. Okay, so this is a little bit questionable, but in general, I shouldn't be greedy with that Pegasus trying to block the charge that middle troop of X that sort of with that hope of potentially blocking 2 units of more X, right? I should have just charged the one that's blocking the closest unit of more X, so that my opponent couldn't move out either way and couldn't charge my knights, right? But also on the other hand, the other more X, because the troop slide sideways to allow 1 more X unit to charge, the other more X couldn't reform. So well, so it's questionable, but I think that if I were to play it again, I'll opt for the safer play. So this dance of line of sight, so sometimes you think, oh, there's a forest there. This is talking about the Crudger on Wing Slasher, right? So he placed himself behind the forest, can't be seen, but the moment I pop into the forest, I could see him and he couldn't see me. So you want, even if you're placed behind the forest, you want to place yourself in a way if when the opponent enters the forest, you will be able to see him and charge him, so it deters him from coming into the forest. And you might want that chariot also to threaten. A chariot being 16-inch threat range, you want that 16-inch just nice to threaten to the back of the forest. So the moment anyone peeks into the forest, your chariot can charge it. So this is a little line of sight dance. So with my Beast of Nature dancing with that Crudger on Wing Slasher, I think that was a profit for me, because the Beast of Nature is 200 points while the Crudger on Wing Slasher is probably about 300. Yeah, so check the charge range of dragons. That's my horde of foot soldiers being flanked. right? I'd rather be charged in the flank by the X troop and face the front for the dragon. So the dragon charging in the flank, definite sure kill for the dragon, right? So with that, that's the end of my first round of the Call to Arms round 1, season 4 round 1. So the next battle is with Jeff Crash. So that's if you guys don't know him, he is a very good top Australian player, usually coming in top or near the top. So the next game is my 4th game with him. So far we have 1 win each, 1 win for me, 1 win for him, and the third game was a draw. So this 4th game was to settle the score, and can't wait to find out how that goes. And I do have him on the as a guest for the battle report. So please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified the moment I drop that battle report. And yeah, so if you haven't already, do like the video as well. Alright, with that, I'll see you in the next battle report.